Now, I know a lot of people take pride in hashtag no filter, but editing helps you to give your photos a personal look. Plus, it's a really cool skill to have. You can also put it on your CV. And these are some of the photos that I've edited. So today I'm going to show you how I edit my own photos. I'll also make you understand the app, so even when I'm not around you, you can edit it on your own, and which leads to my third point, that is developing your own style. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. But before getting into the video, I want to say this one thing. If you think that, oh,
editing is so technical, it's going to be so difficult,
it's really not that deep, honey. So once you get a hang of it, once you get to know how to do it, it's pretty easy. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. I edit my photos on my phone, and what apps do I use? I use Lightroom. So the editing part will be divided into 4 parts, which is light, color, effects, and details. Today I'm going to be editing this photo. So as I said, so the first thing that we'll go for is light. Now what is light? Light is light. I'm so sorry, guys. Now I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit. Exposure is basically how dark or light your photo is, and if you feel your photo is a little bit dark, then you increase the exposure. And if you feel your photo is overexposed, that is too bright, then you decrease the exposure. Now the second thing is contrast. Now I'm not going to touch contrast on this one because I want this photo to be light and soft, so I'm not going to increase or decrease the contrast a lot, okay? So what is contrast? Contrast is basically the difference between the light part of the photo and the dark part of the photo. So basically when you increase the contrast, it increases the difference between the light and the dark. As you can see, the light parts of my face have gotten really light, and the dark, like my hair is dark, right? It has gotten more dark. So I'm not going to do anything like that. I just wanted to explain you. Now the next thing is highlights. What is highlights? Highlights is basically the lighter parts of your photo. Okay, so since I increased the exposure and I increased it a little bit more, so I'm going to decrease the highlight because I don't want the white parts of my face to become more white. Now next is shadows. So highlights is basically all the light parts of your photo, and shadows is basically all the dark parts of your photo. So what I'm going to do with shadows today is not touch it at all. If anything, I will increase it a little bit so that I can make the shadows a little bit more lighter, because as you know, I want to go for the softer look, so I don't want really harsh shadows on my photos. Now next is whites and blacks. White is all the white in your photo, black is all the black in your photo, as the name says. So I'm not going to touch it for now. If anything, I will decrease the white because I don't want my photo to look really white, especially my face. I don't want it to look really white and like a ghost. So I'm going to decrease the whites. And that's all I do with the light section, and we're done. We have a curve section on the top, but I'll get to that later on, okay? So now that we're done with light, we're going to move on to colors, finally. So now that we're on colors, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is mix. So once you click on mix, you can see there's red, orange. There's red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, magenta. These are basically, you can actually control individual colors in your photo. Now what I mean by that is, just click on the red. If you play with the sliders, you'll realize the red in your photos are changing. Now what I do is, whenever I want my blush and my lipstick to be a little bit more red, I will just decrease the luminance, increase the saturation, and decrease the hue. And that makes my lips look really red, bright, and even my blush to look a little bit more bright. And the next thing that I do is I move on to the orange one, which is right beside red, and I will increase the luminance so that it lights up my face. It adds more brightness to just my face because that's an indicator of my skin color. And saturation, I'll increase it a little bit. It adds brown to my face. So luminance adds a lot of light, like white, to my face, and saturation adds brown to my face. So I kind of work both of these together so that I can get like a brown, well lit face and my skin. Okay, so that hue, I don't touch hue when it comes to orange. Make sure to make tiny changes, and even when you're making changes to the red and the orange one, make sure to keep an eye on your skin, because if you move the slider all the way down or all the way above, or make like huge differences, it's going to make huge difference on your skin color. Like, you don't want to increase the saturation of the red one and your face will just be like bright red. We don't want to be aliens, guys. So whenever you're controlling the red and the orange one, make sure to make minimal changes. So now that we're done with the skin, you have to look at what other colors that are there in the photos. In my case, there's blue and there's green. The green is the plants that I'm holding in my hand, the flowers that I'm holding in my hand. The blue is the color of my dress. So I'm going to manipulate these two things. So now I'll click on blue and I will just play with the slider. Saturation, I'll increase it a bit. If you're wondering what saturation is basically the intensity of the colors. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go to greens and control the color of the plants. I'm going to decrease the luminance, increase the saturation, and decrease the hue. And that's it. I think I've worked on all the colors that are there in my photo. I have worked on red, yellow, which is basically the color of my skin, lips. So I've made my dress pop out, and I've also made the color red of my lips pop out. And then when it came to green, I kept it a little bit more light, but also it's not really light, but it's like non-existent. So that's it. That's what Mix does. It's my favorite tool in the app because it helps you to bring out all the colors out individually, and you saw how easy it was, right? Like, I just had to play with the sliders and just keep going front and back and see what you like and what you don't like. Figure out what individual colors are there in your photo. If there's pink, then you control the pink slider. If there's blue, then you go for the blue one. And if there's green, like plants or something else, then you increase and decrease the green one. Now once I'm done with handling all the individual colors in the photo, I'll move on to grading, which is right next. It's on the left. This is left, right, guys? Which is on the left hand side of Mix. And now there's a huge circle right in front of you. Okay, it's really easy. So now what I do is I just go on the third circle and decrease the luminance. So I do that for almost all of my photos, and it kind of helps to balance out the color on my face. It makes it a little bit more lighter and subtle, and also gives a little faded look. It makes my photos look a little bit more artsy. So if you're wondering what that circle does, what it does is it basically introduces a new color into your photo. Okay, between the big circle there's like a small dot. Just press on it and move that to a specific color. Now what I'll do is I will move it to a little bit orange because I want it to look very taken in the sunlight or taken in the golden hour. And I used to also do this thing where if I wanted to make my photos look like it's taken on film, I would just press on the center part and move on to green a little bit, so it would give those green tint to my photos, how it looks on film. So it will look like that. When you scroll down, there's like luminance, blending, balance, so you can play with these sliders and make it less or more or however you want. So now that grading is done, let's move on to the next part, which is, if you can see on the left hand side there's black and white, B and W, that's black and white. You can click on that and it'll just turn your photo black and white, but I'm not doing that for this photo. So let's move below that. The first thing that I'm going to do is increase the temperature. Temperature is basically if you want your temperature to be cooler or if you want it to be warmer. So if you decrease it, it'll make it blue, which is like cold tones, and if you increase it, it'll make it look very as if it's taken in sunlight. So the next is effects. Now what effects does is effects deals with the quality of your photo. It deals with the texture of the photo and also the clarity of the photo. But if you ever take a photo where it's like a bold photo where the vibe is really clean, sharp photo, then you can increase the clarity and texture, but do not go over the board because then it'll look weird, like it'll look fake. And next is details. Now what I do in details is if there's too much noise in my photo, if you scroll down you can see these two options, color noise reduction and noise reduction. The noise is small particles in your photo. When your photo doesn't have enough light, it adds these small grains, these small particles in your photos. So if you have that in your photo, then you can just go to noise reduction and just increase it. So it will remove the noise for you automatically. Okay guys, so my battery died and I'll quickly explain the last thing that's left, which is curves. So let's move back to the light section. So on the top right side you can see a box that says curves. Just click on that, and when you open curves, one straight line is right in front of you, and there are 3 dots on it. Okay, so I'll quickly explain these 3 dots. The below one is all your shadows, basically all the darker parts of the photo. The middle one is all the mid-tones, so it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's in between, it's balanced, it's mid-tones. Okay, and the last one, the last dot, is all your highlights, meaning all the light part of your photos. Okay, so you can just drag it down and up according to whatever you like. Let's say you want to increase the highlight, so you just drag the highlight, which is the top dot, you will just drag it a little bit up, and if you want to decrease the shadows, you go to the other end and the last dot on the below, and you just drag it down. And there's no specific number that I can give you when it comes to curves. You have to just play around and see what works and doesn't work out for you. And in the bottom line, you can see this white, red, green, blue. Now white is what deals with shadows, highlights, midtones, as I showed you, and red, green, blue is for specific colors in the photo. Okay, so I hope this cleared all your doubts, and with that, we're done. I really hope you understood what I was trying to say, and it was not just me blabbering and everyone was just like, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? And I really hope I explained it in a way where you all understood. Okay, and if you like watching my videos, please like and subscribe. Okay, I'll see you next week. And I have to say something. Yes, the one thing that I want you to take away from this video is keep playing around. Okay, that's the only way you're going to learn. And keep playing around with the sliders, see what you don't like and what you like, and that's how you develop your own style. And I'll shut up now. I hope you guys understood what I was trying to say, and I'll shut up. Please like and subscribe. I'll finally shut up, and bye. I'll see you next week. It's whites and blacks. Okay, if you feel like your photo is too dark. Is my button open? Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, ignore this for a minute. Slutty tech teacher. Oh my god, what is wrong with me?